Hello everyone, welcome back all of you. In today's session we are going to have discussion on vibration measurements and what does it mean by vibration. So vibration is nothing but a phenomenon which happens due to the periodic occurrence of displacement, velocity or acceleration. So the cause of vibration can be any three of them. Either it can happen due to the displacement, or it can happen due to the velocity, or the variations in the acceleration. So the amplitude of vibrations is related to amplitude of its cause. So depending on the cause, whether it is displacement, velocity or acceleration, the amplitude of vibration is going to be different one. So to understand that, I have taken the example of simple harmonic motion whose in which the displacement is given with respect to time as a sin omega t. So the amplitude of vibration due to the displacement is taken as a. So if we wish to know the difference, what will happen if instead of displacement we take the vibration due to velocity or acceleration. So to get the velocity term, we have to differentiate the displacement with respect to time, and the differentiation of sine is going to be cos, and the omega term is in multiplication of t, and the constant term is going to come out. So it is going to become as a times omega cos omega t. So we can see the amplitude is going to be a omega this time in case of vibration due to velocity. And then if we wish to know about the amplitude of vibration due to the acceleration, so we'll have to differentiate either the displacement two times with respect to t, or directly we can differentiate velocity with respect to time. So only one time differentiation we'll have to do. So if we go from velocity, differentiate once again, so differentiation of cos is going to be minus sin omega t, and the again omega term is going to come out due to the constant multiplication. So it is going to be minus a omega square sin omega t. So as we are talking only about the amplitude, so amplitude is going to be a omega square. The negative sign is going to tell us that there is phase difference. So now we can clearly see that the amplitude due to the acceleration is going to be a omega square, and amplitude of vibration due to velocity is going to be a omega, and that due to velocity it is going to be a. So vibration due to acceleration have the more amplitude than those of vibration due to velocity or displacement, because it is going to have omega square getting multiplied, because every time we differentiate, omega term is going to get multiplied, and omega has the higher value. So the amplitude due to acceleration is going to be more than that of velocity or displacement. So this is the basic idea, and we have to be very clear about it, because sometimes in the gate the questions can be asked even from the basic concepts also. So adding on to our concept, as I mentioned, the vibration can happen due to the displacement, velocity or acceleration, right? So we can have the level of vibrations due to all three of them. So we have displacement vibration level, or velocity vibration level, or acceleration vibration level. So we are trying to calculate the vibration levels in terms of decibel. So to do so, we have three different formulas: 20 log base 10 xm by x reference, where m can be taken as measured value, whereas ref is reference. So in all three cases, we are going to have formula something like 20 log base 10 and measured value divided by reference value. So in the case of displacement, it is going to be x measured divided by x reference. In the case of velocity, it will be Vm by V reference, and in the case of acceleration, it is going to be A measured by acceleration measured by acceleration reference. So there is one question also asked on this particular concept, in which the velocity vibration level was asked in the gate. So let me tell that, and then we'll proceed further with our concept more. So the question was something like this. We have before that, let me tell one thing, that the reference for displacement is taken as 10 to the power minus 1 meter, and the for the velocity it is 10 to the power minus 3 meter per second, and for acceleration it is 10 to the power minus 5 meter per second square. If the question is asked on this concept, it may happen that these values are not mentioned, so you have to keep them in mind. So the question was asked from velocity vibration level. So the question was given something like this, that there is one wall who has acceleration amplitude as 16 g, at frequency of 8 hertz. So tell us the velocity vibration level in decibel. So as I mentioned the basics before, if you doesn't have any idea about them, you will not be able to solve this question. So because as I always say, GATE is not about how difficult problems you can solve, whether rather it is something like how basics you know the thing. So the ball acceleration amplitude was given as 16g. So we know that amplitude of vibration due to acceleration is going to be a omega square. So we can write it as 16 into 9.8, and the frequency is given as 8 hertz, but we have to calculate the omega. So omega is going to be 2 pi f. So 2 pi into 8. So this is going to be the omega, and the asked question was velocity vibration level. So to calculate that, we have to calculate the Vm. So Vm, the amplitude of vibration due to velocity, is given as a omega. So we have to divide this a omega square by omega. So this is nothing but a omega square by omega, right? So omega omega gets cancelled, so it is a omega. So a omega square has value of 16 into 9.8 and divided by omega, 2 pi into 8. So this is going to come out as 3.119 meter per second. Okay, so we have the value of Vm now, and also we have the value of V reference here. So if we put it here, 20 log base 10, Vm is 3.119 meter per second, and V reference is 10 to the power minus 3 meter per second. So answer is going to come out as 69.88 decibel. So this is the basic question, but if you doesn't know the basic formulas which are like very easy to remember, so if you doesn't know them, you are going to lose the marks. So not only this topic, any topic, you must have the basic understanding of the concept, then only you will be able to solve the problems in the GATE. So now we shall proceed towards our next concept, seismic system. And now we have three seismic elements: spring, mass, and a damper. And if we apply any force on three of them, we wish to write the expression for the force. For example, I have taken the force due to the acceleration. You can take due to any of them. So I have taken the force due to the acceleration. So if we are applying force over here, so this spring is going to expand, and due to the opposing nature of the spring, it is going to have the force Fk in the opposite direction. So due to that, if there is no force, if we make force 0, so due to the Fk, the spring is going to come back on its initial position. So Fk is going to be the Kx. So what is happening here? The force is getting converted in terms of displacement. So if we are applying the force, the spring is going to elongate. So let us say the displacement is x. So we are converting the force into the displacement. In the other case, if we are applying force on a mass, so due to the Newton's law, we are going to get force as mass into acceleration. So if the mass has the acceleration value a, we are going to get the force as ma. So what is happening here? If we are applying force over here, it is giving the acceleration to our mass. And in the case of damper, if we are providing the force, it is going to get converted in terms of velocity, because the force expression is given as b into dx by dt, rate of change of displacement, so which is nothing but velocity. So in all these three cases, we have force getting converted in displacement, force getting converted in velocity, and force getting converted into acceleration. So making use of all these three seismic element, we have one seismic system, which is also known as seismic sensor, is applied with force of acceleration. And in the case of equilibrium, what is going to happen? The force due to the acceleration is going to equate with summation of all the force applied due to spring, mass, and damper. So in the case of equilibrium, the force applied due to acceleration is going to balance with force due to spring, force due to the mass, and force due to the damper, and we are going to have some value of displacement x naught. So force due to acceleration, will keep it as it is, and force due to spring, we can write it as kx. So we are assuming the displacement is going to be x, so which is taken as x naught of t. So, and force due to mass is given as ma. acceleration can be written as d2xt by dt2. And in the case of damper, we are going to have force as b, the damping coefficient b, and the velocity. So velocity can be written as dx naught of t by dt. So due to the force applied as force of acceleration, we are going to have a displacement in the position of the mass. So due to the displacement x, the spring is going to give the force as kx, and the mass is going to give the force as ma. So acceleration can be written as 2 times of differentiation with respect to time, and force due to damping is given as bv. So velocity can be written as dx naught of t by dt. So simply applying Laplace transform both of the side, it is going to give as f acceleration of s is equal to k x naught of s plus m s square x naught of s plus b s x naught of s. So writing x of s common, x naught of s will have the k plus ms square plus bs. So if we wish to write x naught divided by f of a, we will have to write 1 by ms square plus bs plus k. This will be x naught of s divided by f acceleration of s. So acceleration, force acceleration of s I have taken this side, and this particular term I have taken into denominator. So we are going to have the standard form of our transfer function x naught of s, because output is our displacement and input is force due to acceleration. So it is going to be 1 by m divided by s square plus b by m s plus k by m, because our second order transfer function has standard expression as omega n square upon s square plus 2 eta omega n s plus omega n square. So this is k. So by comparing the denominator, we can calculate the value of omega n and zeta. So omega n is going to be under root k by m. So if we wish to write natural frequency, so omega is nothing but 2 pi f. So f can be written as omega upon 2 pi. So this will be 1 upon 2 pi under root k by m. So natural frequency of oscillation in terms of hertz, it will be given as 1 upon 2 pi under root k by m, whereas 2 zeta omega n is under root k by m. This thing 2 zeta omega n is nothing but b by m. So from here zeta we can calculate as b by m under root m by k, and 1 by 2 will have. So zeta is going to be this will become as b by 2 under root of mk. So we have the natural frequency of oscillation in terms of radian per second as under root k by m, and in terms of hertz we have 1 upon 2 pi under root k by m, whereas the damping ratio zeta can be given as beta by b by 2 under root mk. So there can be one theoretical question also on this particular concept. What if we have the like how the frequency, natural frequency of oscillation is going to vary with respect to the stiffness of the spring and the mass. So if we increase the stiffness of the spring, or if we decrease the mass attached to the system, we are going to have more natural frequency of oscillation. So like hard spring and small mass. So hard spring means the stiffness constant is going to increase, and a small mass means the value of mass is going to decrease. So the overall value, the frequency of the natural frequency of oscillation is going to be more. So there can be one theoretical question that how the natural frequency of oscillation can be increased. So that's what the basic idea, and now we'll try to write this transfer function in terms of our acceleration input or displacement input, because now we have written the force input, but actually we were discussing about the amplitude of vibration due to acceleration or displacement or velocity. So this we will write as x naught of s, and the force due to acceleration can be written as ma, right. So this will be m acceleration input of s is equal to 1 by m s square plus b by m s plus k by m. So now if we multiply this m over there, so this is going to come out as our output displacement divided by acceleration input is m and m multiplied. So this will become 1 s square plus b by m s plus k by m, right. So this is going to be transfer function. So we are going to get the displacement output due to the acceleration input. Or if we wish to write in terms of displacement, so we can simply write it as let us say we have a displacement input xi of t is equal to a sin omega t, and we know that the acceleration I of t can be written as d2x by dt, right. So this is nothing but minus a omega square sin omega t. So acceleration input of t can be written as omega square times of displacement input, right. So by just simply writing the acceleration as omega square times of displacement, we can convert this particular transfer function in terms of displacement also. So this is going to be x naught of s divided by omega square x input of s, because acceleration is written in terms of omega square into displacement. So 1 by s square plus b by ms plus k by m. So our transfer function x naught of s divided by x input of s. So now we are talking in terms of displacement input. So this is going to be omega square divided by s square plus b by ms plus k by m. So just by writing one expression, we have written with respect to the force acceleration. If we wish to convert it in terms of acceleration input or displacement input, we can just simply put the value as force is equal to ma. So we will get the x naught by a, or if we wish to convert in terms of displacement, we can put, because the amplitude of the acceleration is omega square times of amplitude of displacement, right. So we can calculate any of the transfer function of our interest. And now proceeding further, what exactly we are going to get out of these transfer functions is that we compare it with our standard expression as k omega n square divided by s square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square. So anyway, this we already have compared, so this is going to be the same only. Only omega n square we doesn't have in the numerator, so we are going to multiply and divide by omega n square. So this omega square divided by omega n square into omega n square. So we have divided and multiply with the omega n square into numerator, and denominator is going to be as it is. So instead of writing in this term, we will write it as s square plus 2 zeta omega ns plus omega n square. So this is going to be omega square divided by omega n square, and we'll take this omega n square in the numerator, and if we put this s equal to j omega, so this is going to be minus omega square divided by omega n square, we are going to divide here, and this is going to be plus 2 zeta omega n, and this s equal to j omega, so we'll write it as j omega and divide by omega n square, and plus 1, because omega n square divided by omega n square is going to be 1. So now this is going to be modified as omega by omega n whole square divided by 1 minus omega by omega n whole square plus j times of 2 zeta omega, 1 omega n is going to get cancelled, omega by omega n, and this is nothing but x naught of j omega divided by xi of j omega. So if we wish to write the magnitude of x naught divided by xi, we can write it as omega square by omega n square divided by under root of a plus iota b. So the magnitude is under root a square plus b square. So 1 minus omega by omega n square whole square, a square plus b square, 2 zeta omega by omega n whole square. So this term comparatively is going to be much higher, so we can neglect that, and we can write the modified expression as mod of x naught divided by xi is equal to omega square divided by omega n square, and whole thing is divided by square root of 1 minus omega by omega n whole square of whole square. So this whole square and whole square gets cancelled, and we'll get it something like this, 1 minus omega by omega n whole square. And now if we consider first case, if omega n is much higher than that of omega, so the natural frequency of oscillation is very high than that of the frequency on which we wish to get the measurement. So if omega n is very high, so omega by omega n is going to be ignored. So this will become mod of x naught by xi is equal to omega square divided by omega n square, and in the denominator only 1 will be left. So this is nothing but as we know, acceleration input is going to be omega square into displacement input, right? So if we multiply this omega square here, so xi into omega is going to become as acceleration. So mod of x naught by acceleration input is going to be 1 by omega n square. So what we are getting, if we are having the natural frequency of oscillation much higher than that of the frequency on which we wish to measure the vibrations, we are going to have the good amount of output if the input is given as acceleration input. And in the second case, we will take the omega n value as very less than that of the frequency on which we wish to do our measurement. So this is going to become x naught by xi will be, in this case omega n is very less, so this term is going to be higher one. So in this case 1 is going to be ignored. So this is omega square by omega n square divided by this will be ignored. So we had something like this, no? So 1 minus omega by omega n, so minus square will be plus, so square root of that is again going to be the plus 1. So omega by omega square divided by omega n square, so this and this gets cancelled, so we will get 1. So x naught by xi, the magnitude is going to be 1. So if we have the natural frequency of oscillation much lower than that of the frequency on which we wish to get the measurement, we are going to feel the x naught by xi as 1. So in this case the seismic system is going to respond well for the acceleration input, and in this particular case the seismic system is going to respond well for the displacement input. So that's the basic idea, that how we are actually going to make use it in terms of practicality. And now let us summarize whatever we have discussed till now in the case of vibration measurement. So in the vibration measurement, we had the basic understanding that it is a phenomenon which can happen due to the cause like displacement, velocity or acceleration, and we had concluded that the amplitude of vibration due to acceleration is going to be much higher than that of velocity or displacement. And based on that we had vibration level, they can be of three type: displacement vibration level, velocity vibration level and acceleration vibration level. And also we did one problem on velocity vibration level, and then we moved toward seismic system, and we had the derivation of displacement with respect to applied acceleration force, and we got the transfer function as 1 by m divided by s square plus b by ms plus k by m, and by putting the force as ma we got the transfer function for output as displacement and input as acceleration, whereas by converting this acceleration in terms of omega square into displacement, we got the transfer function for displacement output divided by displacement input, and proceeded further with the second transfer function. We had two conclusions, that if the frequency on which we wish to get the measurement is much lower than that of natural frequency, so we are going to get the steady state sensitivity as x naught by acceleration input as 1 by omega n square. And the example for that is a seismic transducer. So if we are applying the acceleration input, the seismic sensor is going to get the give the output as displacement x naught of t, and if that displacement with the help of any of our transducer like potentiometer, LVDT or piezo sensor, we are going to get the electrical output. So the seismic sensor is going to get converted into seismic transducer, because transducer must have the electrical output. So this is going to be known as accelerometer. So and also I have mentioned that already we know that the in the case of accelerometer we are going to measure the vibrations. So vibrations are going to have the frequency of measurement already very high. So but to make it work very effectively, we should have the natural frequency of oscillation higher than that of the value which is being measured. So how we are going to do that? We have to make the spring very stiff and the mass should be very small, so that the natural frequency itself has to be very high, then only we will be able to measure the high amount of vibrations. So in the other case, if the frequency is very high than that of natural frequency of oscillation, and in that case that particular instrument, seismic transducer, is going to be work best in the case of displacement measurement. So instead of acceleration as an input, we'll have to use the displacement as the input. So that was the concept of the vibration. If you have any doubt, you are free to ask in the comment section. Thank you.